Hello and welcome to Wisdom Within. I'm your host, Talia. Let's come home to ourselves and inspire others to do the same through real talk and seeing beyond the mundane. Let's get into it. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Wisdom Within. This week I have a very special guest with me and I'm so grateful to be here with Shesuz, the amazing Shesuz. So we'll just get her to say hi and introduce herself because she's just such a queen.
Well, hello, Talia, and hello, this beautiful audience. I'm so grateful to be here and to be in the presence of you and to share this moment in time. And I'm so proud of Miss Talia over here for following her dreams and creating with passion and sharing her gifts with the world.
Aww.
And now for us to drop in together.
Yes. Oh, thank you for that. So yeah, I'll give you a bit of an introduction because you've been one of the people that has actually changed my life in so many ways, probably more than you even know. So I met Shesuz when I was living in Austin, which was a year ago now. Yeah, I moved there in August 2022. And I met Shesuz in one of her erotic movement classes. And I wanted to start off by talking about your amazing classes that you do, because I think that will give people good insight into what you do, because I don't know anyone else who does them.
No, yeah.
So it just shows how creative and amazing you are. So why don't you talk a bit about your classes? What are they?
Yes, so erotic movement is a somatic experience, which means a mind, body, heart, and soul experience. We touch on every single part of that. And it's a journey, it's a carefully curated sequence that gets you stimulated in your mind, gets you open in your heart, gets you pulsing in your genitals. It gets you open to the divine or whatever you want to call it. You know, that's up to you. And it allows you to have breakthroughs in all areas of your life and really getting to see how our sexual energy is something that can be used to not only feel good, but to actually establish a sense of peace within your life, you know, and create healing in areas that need healing and to solve in areas that need some solutions and to give you strength in areas that maybe you don't feel confident. And it could be about your body, or it could even be about, you know, your health. You could be struggling and you can use your sexual energy to come back to your vital energy of aliveness to actually heal your mind and your patterns and relationships. And so we go through a guided meditation to stimulate your fantasy in your mind to get a turn on, like a boner in your mind, you know?
Yeah.
And then we take that and we charge the body with the breath, with prana, life force. So we charge the body up and we move from that into Kundalini exercises, activating the spine. And our spine is our life force. Without it, we cannot live. And so oftentimes people don't even think about like sex in their spine, but it's like, that's how the Kundalini energy moves. So then we move that energy up through warm up and breath, and we bring it all together with some shaking out the nerves, shaking off the old limiting beliefs and stories that keep you away from sexiness and spirituality and the closeness to your truth. And then we get into like what might be the most fun part, but getting into partner and trios and group interaction that bring out authenticity, that bring out depth. Sometimes, you know, tears can happen. Sometimes rage can come up and you're held in it. And we always return it back to this juicy feeling that lives in our second chakra, in our, you know, in our sex chakra. And we bring it back there and we welcome that with love and appreciation. And then, you know, we blast it, we build up like that climactic energy, like, oh, and we have tons of moans, tons of orgasmic energy, and as well as the depth of intimacy. And to me, I see, and yeah, it's a wonderful class. I love teaching it, and I'm buzzing after. I don't drink any caffeine or anything. I don't need it because this stuff works. Like it literally works to energize inside and out my body. And that's why I love sharing it with others. It's because like I'm sharing them a gift of life, in my opinion. Yeah.
I can agree more. I had so many shifts from your classes, and like maybe you could speak about that, like my shifts, like what you noticed in me when I first came to like when I up to my last class with you. Because some people listening know me, and it'd be interesting to hear what you have to say about that.
Initially coming in, it's kind of like, what the, part of my friends were like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
what is going on? And like, kind of this, like a shell, imagine like a shell just being up and your aura just being closed off and like, kind of like trying to see, what's happening here, and a little trepidation and nervousness and not a lot of sound. Like not a lot of sound was happening, not releasing like through the body, not big expressions. There was some dancing and playfulness, and an openness to play. But as the time progressed, soon enough, it was like you were by the end of it, you were like the initiator, like you were the leader. And, people would notice, they'd be like, where's Talia? Like, where is the energy? You totally self-express. You were going for it. You're being big and being seen and taking up space, so that shy, like small energy grew into something that was not only seen by me, but it was felt by the entire, class, every class. Yeah.
So beautiful. Yeah, and I think that's the thing, like by creating a container where you allow people to feel safe to express themselves, like they can bring that to their lives in so many ways. Like once you open up, you realize like so much about your potential and how much you're able to express yourself in the world. And one thing I love the most about the way you work and your classes is just like the number of like activities and exercises and that you have available. Like I saw you every week and you always had so many unique ideas that I don't think anyone would ever think of. Like I don't think you were taught these things, and I remember asking you like, how do you come up with these ideas? And it was so interesting what you told me, and I think I really want to share that with people, like how you use this work in your own creative processes. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I was curious, like what I told you.
Oh, well, yeah, I'll let you know if it was the same thing.
Our sex center, our second chakra, is our creative life force energy. And so once activated and moved through the body, so it doesn't just stay in the sex chakra, but actually moves up into the gut, into the soul, the solar, up into the heart, and clearing out into the throat, and then coming up into our third eye, and then letting it connect to like the divine. When I can bring it all throughout, then it's like I'm now connected to my creativity in each part of myself. And so downloads happen, and by downloads I mean just information or creative ideas or inspiration just comes in, and it comes in, I can visualize it, I can see it, and then it can come down into my throat and it feels like I can speak it and it feels juicy, and then I can go into my heart, and then some of those exercises come from my heart, like what would love do? And the idea just it flows through, just like when you get into an orgasm, you're in just this bliss state, and the energy is just flowing through you, and you don't necessarily know like where did it even come from. Right? Like, where did it come from? And that's the same energy. It's this co-creation with, I believe, with divine and with the universe. And that's why I really love pairing this work with manifestation or creating your reality, because I believe we do create our reality, and our words, spellings, they're spells. We're casting spells with every thought, with every word, with every feeling and emotion. And if I can, so training my body to respond in a way that can alchemize life, because life gets hard, right? And that's what closes our creativity down. It's like you start to get in a rut. If people say I'm in a rut or I'm stuck, or just kind of going on autopilot. There's no creativity, there's no flow, because all of the energy is being siphoned off, it's being cut off from our lower, our sexual energy. And so we've got to waken that back up. And it's like, yeah, then you're going to have ahas all the time,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful process. And yeah, I don't know if that's what I shared with you when I originally
No,
started.
what you said to me was like, I just tune in and these ideas just come to me from the divine. I think I'd never met someone who lives their life like that, like had their decisions from the divine. Like when I met you, I was like, what does that mean? I was like, this person's a fairy. I was like, I literally thought you were a fairy. I still do. And I think just seeing the magic that came through you, I was like, wow, like this is possible. Like there are people that live their life like this. And I think, yeah, one of the things you love to teach are the laws. Obviously there's the manifestation law of attraction.
Yes.
What are your other laws that you love to teach? That because people probably don't even know what they are.
Well, the two I focus on are law of attraction and law of assumption, definitely. And I want to kind of backtrack there for a moment, because yes, I love everything can come from divine, right? Like,
Yeah.
And that's actually something that is a really, really key component to everything in my life now.
Yeah.
Whereas before, and that's a big distinction along my journey that has gotten me to where I am today, and is the difference of before I would call myself spiritual. Like I would go to yoga, or I would go to transformational festivals, and I would undergo, medicine journeys and all of this stuff, but none of it was actually like tuning in and turning my life over to divine. Like it was me constantly trying to chase, manipulate, control out of fear, out of lack, out of fear of not being enough. That's the number one, fear. And then the number two fear is, what does that mean? That I won't be loved. So it was this constant seeking so much to want to be in spirituality and faith.
Yeah.
But not living in the actual depth and weight of it. And so now I love that you reminded me of that, because it's like, even before we got on this call, it was like, let's pause, let's say a prayer, let's ask divine to come through, my words, my thoughts, my actions, and show me what divine would have me be, and show me what divine would have me serve into the world. And now I like to call it like my forever friend. Whereas before I felt so alone, no matter how much I did, or no matter how many people I found, I there was like a hole inside of me.
Wow.
And now it's like that hole is filled by the grace of God's spirit, the universe, whatever you call it. It's filled by that. But it's my constant daily decision. Our destiny is shaped in the moment of decision. And I decided to let divine in every day. Like today, I did the same thing. I let it in to be my guide, and that is the true source of power. That's the true source of transformation. And oftentimes people are constantly looking outside for that thing, for the transformation, but really it's right here. It's already within you.
That's why my podcast is called Wisdom Within. And also I want to ask, like, what was there one thing that shifted that from you, like, doing the spiritual practice to completely turning your life into a life of devotion?
Yes. And as oftentimes it came from a rock bottom. And that's not the only time that people can change. I want people to know that. That's not the only way that you can be inspired enough to have a breakthrough in your life. We don't have to learn through suffering, but a lot of people do. A lot of people do. And that was the case for me, was getting to a bottom, like having so much pain in my life and so much relationship issues, and I ended up just being alone. Like I was a terrible friend. I terrible lover, a terrible partner. You know, I couldn't work with anyone. I was constant, like I would be fine. Like I would work for a production company and then they would let me go because I lost my ability to connect with myself, with others. And a large part of that is because I was lost in a big state of addiction to substances and, you know, alcohol and drugs and mind altering things. And so the moment that shifted was, I mean, many years of continuously going to spiritual retreats and workshops and reading spiritual texts and books. I believe they really all were little breadcrumbs, you know? So it's like, never give up. Like, and this is what's so important for those that are maybe on that, like, stuck or, you know, like, when is it going to happen for me? And it's like, you never know when you are like this close. And by this close, I mean like an inch away, like one step away from the breakthrough, from the connection, from that shift. Like, you never ever know how close you are to that dream manifesting, to that love coming into your life. Like, you never know. So do not give up, because that was me. You know, it was like years of doing this spiritual work, but never finding that true connection and source, but constantly seeking it. And then eventually it just clicked. And that's that. I was so close. And eventually I didn't give up, right? I did not give up. And eventually I heard it. I went to a seminar, and there was a speaker that was speaking about God and how divine and God gave me a purpose. And only I can bring that purpose into the world. And if I don't bring it into the world, then I'm robbing someone else of the gift that God has assigned me to give. And like, woo. Like, I felt like all of a sudden in my body, I felt this weight on my body just come into me. And all of a sudden I felt grounded into the earth. And mind you, I had just been getting off of a bender, meaning like getting really loaded on like drunk, like, you know, and my addiction, drunk, like terrible, like throwing up, like all night. And I was laid out on the floor, and it was this virtual experience that I'm hearing these words leave this speaker's lips and coming into my body. And I felt for the first time, like I felt the earth beneath me. And then that continued on into 7 layers of why. And I teach this, I taught this in my manifestation play shop this year, of the 7 layers deep of why. And discovering how important our why is. Like, why are we doing anything, you know? And why did you create this podcast? And why am I here, you know? And the intention behind it, and having a deep enough why that will move me no matter what's happening in life, is really what gave me the strength and what allowed my connection to divine to really break through and come totally into me. And I had what's called like a burning bush moment. And so laying on the floor, I can't move. I've been throwing up, and I look awful. You know, I had just almost gotten arrested before, like, you know, 20 days before that for intoxication driving. And I was like, if I get arrested, like I just want to die. Like, that's where I was. You know, I was at this end. And I'm laying there, I can't move, and I'm just hearing them say 7 layers why. And I'm going through it in my head, and I'm like, why? Because, you know, the first one's like, why? Because this feels like shit. Like, why do I want to stop this life? Like, why do I want to give up this pain? And it was like, the second, it was like, why? Because I'm not getting what I want, you know, I'm struggling. And then, but by the end of it, we're getting deeper and deeper. And at the time, my mother and my sister were about to come from Michigan to visit me in Texas. And I'm getting deeper into the why. So I'm at like 5 or 6. And it's like, why? Like, why do I want to give up this addiction? Why do I want to give up this struggle? And it was like, why? Because I don't want my mother and my sister to see me like this. Like, I won't even be able to pick them up from the airport. You know, it will just destroy my heart for them to see me just like this. And then I got to the deepest layer, 7, and number 7, it was, I never want anyone to feel the way that I felt And if I can do anything about it, I will. And it
Mm.
shifted in that moment. I
Wow.
was inside, but like as if clouds, like as if there were a sky in my room, the clouds parted, and all of a sudden I felt the light coming
I
down
can like
into my
see it
body.
right now.
Oh my gosh, I'm
Wow.
getting chills just talking about it because it was a spiritual awakening. And immediately my addiction was removed, and I had been suffering from it for over 10 years, over 11 years at that time, completely removed.
Wow.
A thought, like a voice told me in my head exactly what to do. I listened to that voice. I did exactly what it said. I've been continuously sober since, and on this path of
What year was that in?
2020.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And so now it's like, and it was like, serve this message, serve others, and that has become the leading edge of all of what I do, is like to tap in, to let the messages come through, and to be guided, and to trust, and to share, and to serve. And so it's been a profound journey and a profound change. And yes, so that's part of that story, and what's led me to where I am today, and sharing these messages and helping others to use all the tools that I have been taught up until then,
Yeah.
so that they too can have a breakthrough in their life. Mm-hmm.
So beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Is there any other messages you have for people? Obviously, you have so many, but the one advice you've given that was the most strong, I think, was just like, keep going. Is there anything else that you'd say to someone who is struggling with addiction right now?
Yeah, and this doesn't even have to just apply to
Addiction,
addiction
yeah, just
in
anything.
substance sense, but like people are addicted to pain,
Yeah.
addicted to um, a distorted perception of the self, so yes,
Mm,
this can apply to both, but it's like of not feeling good enough, of not feeling pretty enough, of feeling a disconnection with your body, of not seeing your body as beautiful, of not seeing it as a temple, and using it as a temple, and health, money from people who struggle financially, to people who have it all, so to speak, have it all, but still there's something inside of them that's like unhappy,
mm,
or who cannot tap into a space of serenity.
yeah.
It's like no matter where you're at in your life, there's something, or maybe you're doing really well and you just want to do better. You just want to like grow even more and serve even more. It's like that message is consistent all throughout. It's excavating the things that are the obstacles that I'm creating, right? It's like, what's the thing that's getting in my way? Me.
Yeah.
That's why we rely on, I like to rely on divine, on God, because it's like I can I can turn over all of me that's not actually me. It's just stuff I picked up along the way. I can give it over, like get rid of the garbage. I love what Michael Singer always says, and he's the author of The Untethered Soul. He's like, our head, it's like we're constantly putting garbage in it, and you wonder why you feel terrible, or you wonder why you're constantly on the monkey mind wheel, running like a hamster wheel. It's because it's full of garbage, and our job, and what he says, Michael Singer says, is to get rid of all of the garbage in our head.
Yeah.
So that we can truly hear the source and the voice within. And so, yeah, the biggest message is to, excavate the things that are perpetually keeping you from source, from your truth. And once you excavate it, replace it with something new. Establish a physical state of physiology, a state of being that is of turn on, is of attraction, is of life, right? Like, when you meet someone and you immediately kind of like feel like, oh, you want to avoid that, or they're angry, then you take that on. It's like, I want to be the one that walks in the room and has a gift for someone. Even if I don't speak to them, I want them to energetically be able to feel serenity, when they get near me, or feel held or feel seen. I want to be able to be that person. And I really think that's what everyone wants to do. But sometimes we have to forget all of the things we thought we were in order to actually become who we are. And to keep going, yes, to keep going, because you never know how close you are, and all of those other things, excavating, creating a new identity, changing your physical being, meaning like you dance more, you open your energy, you orgasm. I like to say orgasmic energy because it's a way of life. Like, you feel turned on, you put your hands on your pussy, and you're like, oh yes, like yes to life. Or maybe you're really peaceful and you're giving peace throughout the world, which is totally needed right now, right? And you change that state of your mind, and so you've changed the focus, you've changed the physical feelings, and now you're setting yourself up for how you speak now. What are we spelling out into the world, that comes into our intentions and manifestations, and when you keep going, you're going to keep getting results, like no matter what I do, right? And like going to the gym, I might not see results the first day. Who's gone to the gym and was like fit the first day that they went there? Nobody.
Exactly.
Nobody.
Exactly.
It takes time. It takes repetition. It takes devotion. And so this path is part of that devotion that you spoke of earlier, and devoting myself to connecting to divine and serving what comes through. And part of that is sex magic, that's what's coming through. And to reclaim our sexuality is something that is sacred, so that people can heal the part that says that their body is something to be ashamed of, and to transcend that and to see it as holy, and to continue to connect with divine, and not separate the body from that process.
Yeah. So beautiful. You just have all the wisdom. You have so much knowledge, and it's just amazing. I love you so much. What brings you back most strongly to your connection with the divine?
That's interesting, because I want to say there's so many things, because there really are.
Yeah.
And I would say, I think, so having a group of people, like a tribe or a community, to hold me accountable to that. But not only accountable, I mean, people I can reach out to and have an honest conversation, and let them carry the torch to me. It's like, it takes a village. And that's a big difference between, like addiction is literally, I isolate myself from others, from unity, from connection to both source and to others. And so one of the remedies for that is connection. And so I think that today, that's one of the most potent ways is to get around people who have what you want, who live what you want to live, and then having another person, and being honest with at least one other person in your life about everything, like to be able to share and confess what's within you, so I'm not carrying all that garbage around. That's huge. That's paramount. Unity is paramount to my ability to stay on the path.
That's really beautiful. Being able to be open with people is such a beautiful gift, because we, like, through connecting with others, we realize more about who we are and what we're here to do. We're like mirrors for each other. We will, like, divert back a bit to what the law of assumption is, and why that's the second law that stands out to you.
That I really like.
Yeah.
So a big teacher on that is Neville Goddard, and he's a great teacher. You can find a lot of his readers and information online and YouTube. You can listen to Audible audiobooks, and guided talks. Like he used to do these talks with people kind of similar to, Abraham Hicks, which Abraham Hicks is all law of attraction works, that which you think becomes, where a focus goes, where focus goes, energy flows. So that's law of attraction, and law of assumption is it's already done. And I love that. I love that, especially as someone like I can one of my like nitty gritties, like my nitty gritties are like those like little sandpaper parts of myself that kind of come up and they rub me like in an uncomfortable way, So the nitty gritties of me is like the perfectionism. It's like sometimes I want to be perfect, and it's like that holds back from action, that holds back from devotion, right? And so if it's already done, then that takes the pressure off of me to have to get it just right. Like, whoa. Like, already done. That's like a big breath, like it's already done is like, it's like the biggest relief in the body. It's allowed me to connect back to source again, right? Because if it's already done, it's already taken care of, then I'm just going to do the next right thing. I'm going to do the next best thing. I'm going to enjoy the process because, right? Like it's already taken care of. And it puts me at ease. And I really love that feeling. I love being at ease. And I love going through life with that flow state, getting to just navigate. And I love the idea of just floating down a river. I'm not trying to swim upstream. I'm not trying to buck the current. It's already taken care of. Yeah. And so powerful ways to do it's already, the law of assumption is getting into visualization meditations where you actually, visualize, like put yourself in it happened, like, and it's already done. Like you're living it. And I don't know if you can give me like an example of something that you want.
Oh, I want a lot of things.
Yeah. Or maybe an experience that's coming up that maybe you have like some nervousness about, or.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things right now. I mean, I can just use one example. Like, I guess in the time period where I'm going to Bali, I have like a month and a half, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what's going to come up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just about like surrendering and just being like, whatever's going to happen will happen. I don't need to plan it all.
Yeah. Yeah. So then like what you could be doing with that in the law of assumption work is to assume the state that you want to feel. Like, what do you want to feel during that? Do you want to feel like you're in trust, like everything is taken care of, know? And maybe you see yourself smiling. Maybe that you want to have some group experiences. So you see yourself around like, and you just close your eyes and you envision it. You envision the wind blowing on your skin. Maybe you're in a bikini by the beach and you're feeling healthy and your skin is glowing, and you feel beautiful. And you just start to see yourself in that place. You feel the sand beneath your toes, and maybe your toes are bright purple, and you're just like, you're smiling and you're laughing with others. And so you start to visualize, right? And you start to paint the picture in your mind of, oh, right, this is what it feels like. This is what it looks like. And then you just let it go after that. And you let that be like the energetic guide. It's like you're sending out the signal and you're assuming that's already done. I've already been there on the beach and I felt beautiful. I felt great. My skin was glowing and I had a great time. And I just, and there were surprises all along the way, and they delighted me. And it's, you see, it's like, it's already done.
Yeah. And the thing is like, I know all of this. And I think it's useful for me to be vulnerable and bring this up for other people, because it's like, I know all of this. On my travels, like, so many places that I had looked up before and like saw myself there. I was there. I went to all the places. And I have trust and I have devotion, but there's still doubt that comes up. And there's still days where I'm like, this isn't real, and negativity comes in, and I want to know what you'd say to people who face that, because I know that like what you attract, like what you think becomes. And so what do you say to people, like what would you advise to people who do struggle with like negative thoughts and don't want that to manifest, but they have that negative voice and they have that doubt come in?
Yeah. So that's actually something really important. I was mentoring someone yesterday who was having a lot of anger and frustration coming up. And it's a human thing. And I think that oftentimes some of the teachings around the laws of manifestation and attraction and assumption, they can kind of be like, don't you think bad thoughts?
I know.
Like wagging their feet,
Yeah, because I spoke to this psychic once and he was like, you're very powerful, so when you think negative things, like they're gonna happen, so you better say cancel, clear, erase, delete. And now I'm like paranoid. I'm like, oh my god, I saw something bad. I don't want that to happen. And so yeah, that's why I brought it up, because I think it's important to know that it's okay. Like all of it's part of being alive. And yeah, you go back to what you were gonna say.
Yeah. It's like what you resist persists. So if I start resisting fear or I start resisting doubt, I'm actually making it more.
Yeah.
Right. And so the best thing, and that's why I love sexual alchemy, is because I'm bringing it down and I'm bringing it in and I'm taking it into my pussy and my womb, and I'm like, oh, I love you. I love you. I'm going to feel you. But not just that. It's like, I've got to feel it to heal it. So, and that's where like it gets kind of into, just where people look down upon spiritual teachers or whatever, like, oh, all that positive, good vibes only, like, and it can be very confusing to us because I'm a human, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. I'm going to live a human experience, meaning I'm going to have ups and downs. Life is going to get lifey. And by life getting lifey, I mean people die, you don't get that job, things happen. And what we have to do, and this goes back to that law of assumption, is that what am I going to assume about it? I'm going to change my perspective. One, I'm going to accept it. I've got to come into a place of feeling my feelings, let them move through me. Don't build a house and live there, right? I'm not going to build a house and build it on fear or build it in doubt, right? But I am going to process it somatically. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to move my body. I'm going to cry. I'm going to scream. I'm going to maybe make a little if it's doubt, it's like, maybe like a little swallow shake, like, feel it and embody it, then move through it. Yeah. And then the law of assumption part is, where's my assumption going? Maybe that thing didn't work out because it saved my life. Maybe that flight was delayed because it saved me. Or maybe, I don't know. And that's where a lot of this stuff has to come back to that divine devotion and turning it over and leaving space for my source and divine and God to fill in the gap. And oftentimes I don't like that, because I want exactly what I want on the timeline that I want it, exactly when I want it served up, and sometimes when I turn it over to the greater good of all and I let my source direct me, my source knows, right? My source is going to, I remember, I had this lover and I was like, I'm in love with him. He said he's not available, but I'm in love with him. Like, he said he wasn't available. He said he wanted to leave the country and move somewhere else. And I didn't want to do that. But I'm like, I'm in love with him. I'm just going to love him anyway. And he could never hang out. He was not available for texting. And when he did come over, I would like make a charcuterie board I would like I would put up all the vegetables and all the beautiful like dips and whatever and food, and I'd get flowers, and I would put candles everywhere, and I would make it so sensual, and I'd put on my sexiest lingerie, and I would be like, oh, your shower doesn't have hot water, you can shower and I'll take care of the rest. And he would shower, you come here, and I would like present him like this food plate when he came out of the
Oh
shower.
my
And I'd be like,
gosh.
here you go. And I'd be like, look at me, like I'm in my best like lingerie and I'm waiting for you. And he'd just be like, oh wow. And then he would leave and I wouldn't hear back from him for, I don't know, weeks.
Babe.
And I'm like, I'm in love. I'm in love. I'm in love. And here's the thing. So what turned out, and so he ended up leaving. Like he did what he was gonna do. He left. I was heartbroken, whatever. But in the meantime, when I was in love with him, I felt this love for him. Every time he wouldn't message me back, sometimes it'd be a month. In that month time, I decided to love myself more. And in that time, I was his cheerleader. I was cheerleading him on for his dream, right? I was like, you can move to a different country. And he'd be like, you can? I'm like, yeah, here's a work you could do. Here's a community you could. I was doing all this work for him. And what I realized, I was like, if I could do this for him, why? I'm like, I should be able to do it for myself too, right? And that was when Bali was born. No lie. Like that, through that process, Bali was born. I quit a bad habit. I started getting into like really good shape. I started teaching my classes.
Oh my gosh.
Because so like rejection is God's protection, right? So every time he was rejecting me, I started to learn to choose myself and double down on the love I had for me. So at the time it felt horrible. But then after a year of dating him, I realized actually it seemed like it wasn't working out in my favor. But after all that time, my dreams actually, the dreams I really wanted were possible because I went through that.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is like, whenever you have the hindsight, you're always like, I can see it. But when you're in it, part of it is you don't know what intelligences are working for you. And it's hard to see them. And so that's why the trust is so important. So thank you for sharing that example. And it's always inspiring to hear other people's stories and you're like, wow, it's all working out for everyone. This is amazing. So beautiful. So thanks for that. And yeah, we should definitely talk about Bali. Now that you mentioned it. Even the story of how that started, of like how you found the place and everything, that was such an aligned moment that I think would be good to share right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah. Oh, I love that. That story is so amazing. Yeah. And all right, so I decided I want to do my retreat in Bali. And because I had made a promise to myself, I was going to go there. I loved Thailand. I'm like, I'm doing it. And like, this is that perfect timing. Yeah. So the guy and I, that's happening. I'm like starting to love myself. I'm doing this Bali retreat. And I go out online. I just start searching different venues in different places. And I'm going through them. And then I find this one. And it really like pulled at me. Like it drew me closer. And I'm like, okay. So I reach out to them and I message them, and then they get back to me. Like, okay, I'm going to still keep looking around, right? I'm going to look around. And I found one other place, and it was like I'll message them too. But it was like these two. I had these two places. And the first one, it was like an immediate, like, just like a pull. Like, it was like tugging my heart. Like, okay, like, you can have me, But I was still on this edge. So talking about doubt, right? And this is what happens with doubt is like it comes in and it's like, well, what are you going to do? Our destiny is shaped in the moment of decision, right? So I decided I go to Michigan, where I'm from, and I land in Michigan. I get settled, and I'm in a city that I haven't stayed in. I hadn't been there in years, and I fall asleep, and the next day I wake up and I say, Okay. All right, divine. Like, I need you to show me a sign. Like, I just said, show me a sign. Like, show me a sign that I'm on the right track with Bali. Give me a sign today. And so I go for a walk and I go into this juice bar and I'm ordering my juice. And I get my juice and then I like look at like right by the register is this sign. And it's a woman's retreat in Bali at the same resort center of the first one that I had found after I had just had prayed that morning for a sign for Bali. And I just like, my mouth dropped. I took a photo. I looked it up. I'm like, not only that, but it was a woman's retreat. That's what I'm doing, right? I'm doing a woman's retreat. And I was just like,
it's crazy.
This is... So I immediately, that day, I put down the deposit for Bali. And I'm like, Destiny is shaped in moments of decision, decided, and the rest is history. Herstory, yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I think these stories are just so... Like, it is true. When you ask for a sign, there will be one. And I think people often think, oh, that's just a coincidence. And it's like, you can choose how you want to see things, but at the end of the day, it's just so... I mean, to me, it's so clear. And to you. And that's how we live our lives. With these beautiful signs.
Yeah, these signs and it all connects, right? All of it connects, literally. The law of attraction, where energy goes, energy flows. It's like what I'm putting out, I am going to get back. So yeah, the quality of my life can be the quality of my questions, could be the quality of the energy I'm putting out. I'm saying, show me like, let me have eyes to see the signs of what I'm being called to do. And it's like, I could have not asked for that sign. I could have gone to that juice shop. I could have gotten a juice. I could have not looked at the sign. I could have not seen it.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't priming myself, because I wasn't activating myself to see it. Right? And that's a lot of the time is like, people are focusing on the wrong things. They're focused on what isn't working out and what isn't there. It's like, yeah, if that's what I'm focusing on, how, and here's just an exercise. You want to do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that. Let's do it.
Okay. So, like, all right. So, everyone, like, just look around right now and just find everything in the room that's brown. And just see everything that's brown in the room. Okay, good. Now, close your eyes.
Okay.
All right. And so, how many things did you see that were red?
Ooh.
Okay. Now open your eyes. All right. How many? And I'm asking your audience too. Like, how many of you saw things in your mind that were brown? But when I asked you red, how many did you really see?
Yeah, like one.
Right. But and then how many of you are trying to say, wait, I saw something that was red, even it was really brown, and you're just trying to make it red, right? And that's how our brain works. It's like, I just had you focus on the brown, and the mind went to brown. So it's like you weren't looking for red.
Yeah.
So our focus is, our energy and our focus is that attuned to what it is that we're looking for. And the way that we were priming our life is, it's what I'm going to get out of life, right? And that goes back to also, you're saying, like, how do I deal with, like, when doubt comes up? It's like, you just imagine you've got there's an old adage, it's like a Native American adage, a story, like the grandmother or grandfather was, like, speaking to the young one, and the young one is like, is asking, about the wolves. There's two wolves, and there's like the good wolf and the bad wolf, and the story ends in like, well, which one wins, Grandma? Like, which one wins? And it's like, oh, whichever one you feed. And that's the thought. And that's our mind, and that's where our focus, right? That energy goes. So the story of me talking about Bali was like me in that morning and connecting with divine and source was me feeding consciously what I was wanting to create, feeding belief, feeding trust, feeding openness, right? I chose to feed that, and then that was what was fed.
That's what you get. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's so beautiful. The way that life works is just pure magic, and I think that's again a choice to see the world as magic, because you don't have to see it like that.
Yeah.
We have the freedom to decide that. Okay, so yeah, let's talk more about Bali now. So yeah, we got to like, you know, how it came into fruition in terms of finding the place, but in terms of your intentions, in terms of why this idea to do a women's retreat was birthed. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so I remember this one day in one of my classes, I was in the erotic movement, which is an all gender class, right?
Yeah.
And I had this woman come up to me, and she kind of had like what I felt was like some pain behind her eyes, and was like, do you do this like just for women? And I was like, and I felt there was just something I felt in her, and inside of me I felt like a tightness happen, like inside of my womb and with my pussy, and there was like a sadness there. There was like a longing, and when she asked it, she ignited that in me, and I was like, this is a must. Like, I must just serve the goddess this. Like, I must connect with my own inner sisterhood and bring that as a gift. And so I knew after that, I was like, yes, I must do this. Like, it became a must at that moment, because anytime I feel something and it brings me to tears, you know, then I know that's a calling, right? That's anything that moves you to tears and makes you feel, that's who I'm here to serve. I'm getting teary-eyed now just thinking about how, you know, how for so many years I was such a scared girl walking through life so lost and not having a sisterhood and not having a wise woman or anyone to show me that what I was feeling was okay, or, you know, even when I was beautiful, you know, I hated myself. I felt so separate, and there was no one I connected with at that time to guide me. And I felt so much pain for her, for that version of me. I think that there's other women who could be feeling the same.
That's what I think. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, we know.
That are feeling that. And that goes back to the story I shared earlier of my 7 layers of why. My why was, I never, ever want anyone to feel the way that I felt. And if I have any part in helping them not to, or helping them to not go so low, then that's what I'm here to do. That's why. That's my why. And so I felt that come through her in that moment. And so I birthed the women's workshop, which you were the co-facilitator of.
Yes.
And then I did one more after that, so it was 2 of them. And it just was like, there's so much. And every workshop, I was like, I have 3 more days of teaching to do. And we just had, and by the second one, I'm like, I have like a week's worth of teaching. Like, I had so much to give, and we didn't have enough time. We didn't have enough time to go into all of it. And I was like, we need more. Like, we need to do this. Like, it needs to be longer. It needs to be in depth. It needs to be immersion. And so that birthed the retreat, and to serve and to give this and to get to go deep into this medicine and this healing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I think maybe we can speak a bit more about what this work is going to do for someone, because I think for some people, they just are used to hating themselves. They're used to like accepting a reality that they're not happy with, because you attract what you believe. And so I think one of the biggest issues is that people don't see what's possible for them, because they're just surrounded by more of that, more of what they feel is possible, because they don't have the inspiration around them. And so I hope this reaches someone and they're like, okay, like this sounds cool, but
Mm-hmm.
how is it actually going to change me? I've tried things already. Maybe, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How is it going to change you? How
Yeah.
is it changed? Yeah. The processes and the different tools and modalities, there's no way you're going to walk away with not having a breakthrough in some form. And here's the thing. Oftentimes people go for what they want but get what they need.
Hmm.
So it's like um recently, so I went to like a Tony Robbins seminar, and I went to have a breakthrough with my time management and my belief on time. But what I ended up getting was a deeper breakthrough with my own relationship to my body and sexuality. I didn't even know it was there. Like, I didn't even know that I needed to have to look at that again.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, this is what I do. Like, I don't,
Yeah.
but that's what I needed.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
So it's like we get to go for what we want. We get to go for the fun, for the spirituality of Bali, whatever calls you there, right? For the pools, for the luxury, for getting to take a break from everyday life, for hitting the pause button for sisterhood and connection. But maybe what you end up getting out of it is what you need. Maybe it's a new mindset or a relationship with your mother. Maybe it's a healed connection. Maybe it's maybe there's something going on in your pussy, and you end up having like a full body orgasm, and you discover that you can feel pleasure in every cell of your body. Maybe it's realizing that your anger is okay and you've just been repressing it, and now you finally have the permission to let it out. And for some, maybe you came just for the beauty and the luxury and being taken care of, but you get that you can be wild and you can let your titties out. You can have an amazing time in your body around other women.
Yeah.
And maybe for some it comes in tears, and tears like it did for me, and shedding shame. Yeah. So, but each of the tools that we're going to go through are going to be a deep practice. Not even to mention, I mean, I'm facilitating majority of them. We're going to have one with the priest of Bali, a Balinese traditional purifying ceremony. It's like you're going to have ample opportunities to go through a carefully created sequence of experience that is going to give you a breakthrough. Just signing up is like is a breakthrough, because you're signing up, you're committing to yourself, you're committing to your yes, you're taking a leap of faith, and you're saying yes to what you really want to call into your life. So you're setting the ball in motion. And then the immersion is so much more powerful than like a one-day workshop, because you are anchoring it into who you are, not just like, oh, it's casually like what I'm just doing for the night. It's like, no, this is who I'm being. This is a lifestyle. It's
Yeah.
a design for living. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you're struggling with anything or wanting to go to the next level in any way, which I think everyone is, then get in touch with us and come. Because, yeah, I'm so excited to just be in that sisterhood. It's just so powerful. And I don't think many people have experienced that.
No, no, and like the sisterhood wound is still like a rampant thing. Like cattiness or gossip or past pains or mother traumas. And we get to look at all of that, and not only just speaking to the pain points, but speak to the pleasure. Like how amazing it is. You can go for these 5 nights, 6 days, and have a transformation in your life. Maybe activate your money mindset. I love to bridge sexuality and money and anchoring it in new beliefs. Business, thriving through your pussy energy, birthing. Okay, if you're not birthing a child out of it, you can birth a business out of it. Okay, honey, like you can. All right, you understand? Like thriving, like like let it come out and
Oh my
through
God,
you.
I love you so much.
Yes. Let's also think about all the beautiful breakthroughs that you get to have, that you're get to open up to it. And that's why it's erotic power, because you're using it to empower your life. It's a power, electricity is a power source, right? This is giving you the tools to utilize your arrows as power, like in any area of your life: money, sex, relationship, body image, health, all of it.
Do you have any other last things that you want to add about coming to Bali?
It's a beautiful experience, and once in a lifetime. This is that time, and the time is always what now. The time to make a decision is always now.
Yeah.
And it's here. It's in August 1st through 6th.
Yeah.
It's in Ubud, Bali, and the most spiritual city in Bali. And rice fields and jungle and 2 beautiful pools, sauna, ice bath. So you're really going to get to go into some biohacking, and all of it. You're going to get a beautiful experience. Talia's going to be there. I'm going to be there. We're going to meet some monkeys along the way.
What more could you want? Us and some monkeys, I mean.
You get such a big bundle. It's like you're getting like the teachings I got from the person who's created coaching, which is Tony Robbins. You're getting all my downloads through him, from like Ashay Sundara, from, I'm just trying to think of Ecstatic Hearts here in Austin, Osho. I've studied with the Sannyasi of Osho. It's like all of these profound teachers, and you're getting it in like this beautiful mix, and me and my experience, this like deep experience, that's led me to where I am today.
Yeah.
And my true passion for it. So
Shesuz is
serving it up.
She's a full package deal.
Full package deal.
She's also just so fun to hang out with. So, and so am I. So.
Yeah, you're a hype woman.
Yeah, we'd love to see you there. And I can't wait to see Shesuz because I miss her energy so much. Like every week I was so excited for your class, and I miss it so much. It's like one of the reasons I want to move back to Austin. So like have this in my life every week. Hope you have got some of her energy and my energy in this podcast episode. And yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Talia, for this beautiful experience and this podcast. And I'm so grateful for you. And I look forward to our successful time in Bali.